Hello, I'm so happy I got a hold of you. Welcome back to another exciting episode of LT Showcase. I am Lucious T, and boy, we've been talking about some expensive games lately. So I wanted to take a page from my buddy Wes's book, where I'm going to show you guys some PS1 games that are really good, that are under $10. Now, most of these that I'm showing you are going to be under $10 for the complete version, but all of them are way under $10 for just loose only. But if you're like me, when you collect for PS1, it's really difficult to get one that's just disc only. Maybe disc and case only, but anyways, all of these are around 10. I think the most expensive one is under 12. So let's get started with the first one, which there is a greatest hits version and a normal version. It's Star Wars Episode 1 Jedi Power Battles. Now, I talked about this all the way back in my Forgotten Games of the late 90s. Now, it's a one-disc only game, and it's just a lot of fun. It takes place in Episode 1, and I want to say it came out around the same time Episode 1 did, but not... It's one of those things where, like, Mace Windu doesn't have a purple lightsaber, so it came out before the movie was officially out, so it was made independently of it. And it's one of those things, a little interesting thing. They have someone who uses a red lightsaber that's a good person, for instance. Like, that would never happen in Star Wars. It's just a lot of fun. It's a solid game. It's a nice two-player game. A lot of these games on this list are going to be solid couch co-op two-player options. Some of them are going to have options for 3 and 4 player. I used to play this a lot with my dad. I want to say I played it with some of my buddies, maybe even my older brother. A lot of fun. You can unlock Darth Maul in it. There's, I want to say, 10 stages. And thanks to me getting a HD Retrovision cable and using my RetroTink ×2 for the first time, I've actually was able to play some PS1 games and really enjoy it. So more than anything, I would say get the HD Retrovision cables used for the PS2 and the PS3. They're $30, and I haven't tried it without using my upscaler, but still, it's just solid. Solid as my dog goes nuts. So that's the first one. The next ones I'm going to talk about is 2 games that are well under $10. If you like the GTA series and want to know kind of where they got the idea when they went into 3D, I'm going to recommend Driver and Driver 2. Now, I played these both when I was a kid. I want to say I rented Driver. I rented it a few times, and this was before I had a memory card with space on it. I remember I had that issue a lot on the PS1. I always was running out of space. I don't know why I didn't buy another memory card, but it is what it is. And I don't even think I really played the main story as much as I played the Take a Ride mode, because at the time, you got to remember, there wasn't any 3D games. This was a brand new foray, especially for consoles. And I used to like to do the Take a Ride mode, where you kind of just explore the city, and eventually you can get chased by the cops. And the really fun thing about the game was seeing how long the cops could chase you, how many of them you could get to crash into their cars and get destroyed. And then once you were killed, you had an option to go back and do a replay of your whole run from the beginning of it. And then you could put it into this really cinematic style of chase, which you could also use this cinematic style while you were driving throughout the game, but it's almost impossible using it. It's kind of like the cinematic style in Shadows of the Empire. Like, it's a, oh, shits and giggles mode. Like, no one's going to use this. But it was really, really fun because it would give you angles from the chase cars, the cop cars, and if you could manage to get some of the enemies to, not the enemies, but you could manage to use some of the regular people driving, you could weave around them, and then they would hit some of the cops dead on. It made for such hilarious replays. I remember just doing that over and over and over again, and you can do that in both versions of the game. As far as actually playing it's hard to go back on some of these PS1 games. There's no through line system like in GTA, so the map will show you kind of a general direction, but it's just a little cone that slowly gets slimmer and slimmer, and it's hard to find your waypoints. But the Driver series, solid pickups if you're looking for a fun thing to play. Like I said, under $10 for both of them, and both of them you can get complete. Driver 2 is a 2-disc game, Driver 1's a 1-disc game. Moving on to my next recommendation is a game that I talked about again on that list, the great Forgotten Games of the late 90s, and that, of course, is Gallup Racer.
Gallup Racer.
Now, I don't know if you've known it, but newcomers to the channel, my dad was a professional jockey for 20 years. He used to ride all over Northern California, Southern California. I was in the Kentucky Derby once. And when I found out there was a video game coming out where you could be a jockey and ride a horse and run all this, I was super stoked to see how it played, because I was always trying to get my family to play games. That was my thing. I was the big gamer. Even though my older brother got me into it and my dad would come and go, I wanted to find reasons for them to be like, oh yeah, let's play that. And Gallup Racer was the next on that long line. It actually is a pretty damn fun game. It's, I've never played anything like it. It's a horse racing sim. You eventually have to manage how much weight goes on your horse, breeding the horses, sending them out the stud, riding it actually. You have to know when to ride in the pack. Some like to be behind the pack, some like to be in the front. You got to balance all that. It's a solid game. It's nothing great, but I don't know. I mean, the intro is great too, the Gallup Racer. But fun game, under $10, well worth checking out, especially if you want something that's a little different that is a racing genre, but not quite what you're used to. Moving on. Now this is funny because this is a game you can still buy brand new from Square Enix, and that is Final Fantasy IX. Now I've gone on record of stating that I've never beaten this, and this isn't really one of my favorites in the series, but a lot of people love it, and I can't deny it. I mean, it's a 4-disc game. You can still buy the Greatest Hits Edition, brand new from Square Enix. This is a sealed copy. I have a black label one too, so I bought this, I think, when they had them on sale for $2, $3 several years ago. And it's funny, I still have the memory from the game on my memory card, although looking at it, it looks a little suspicious. Like Regan's level 99, I have all the money in the game, but not everyone else is. And I think I'm near the end of it, because I'm on disc 4, and I'm 70 hours in, so I'm probably pretty close to beating it. But some people like it. It's not my favorite of the Final Fantasies, but I'd love to give it another shot, even just playing it right here. I don't remember that you had control of 4 party members, so that was cool. And yeah, so Final Fantasy IX, cheap game, can't beat it. I mean, all the Final Fantasy 7 and 8 used to be this cheap too, but they've kind of gone up in recent years, unfortunately. But Final Fantasy IX is still cheap. Moving on is a game that I will always recommend, even though it looks like a cheap-ass budget title. How the hell can this be fun? And that is Pong. And I'm going to go on record and saying not only is this one of my favorite PS1 games, it's one of my favorite couch co-op games too. You can get up to 4 players on it even. And it is just dumb fun, because you think of Pong as just, the ball back and forth, and that's what it is, but they've added 15, 30, 40 different variations of it. And my older brother and I had some battles in this game, some legit battles. There's still one time, because the way it works is it's the first person who gets to 11 points wins, but you have ties. So unless you win, kind of like in tennis, unless you win by 2 points, it keeps going. And we had a battle of the ages that I think ended up being 26-24. In a map that was super cool because it would periodically tilt. It's kind of like Mario Kart in that regard, where you can pick up power-ups and different things can affect the board. There's different styles. Just playing it yesterday, so Jen helped me get the footage for the multiplayer games, and we were playing this and had a good time. Yeah, I played it for a good, probably 30 minutes even after we recorded the footage, we were still enjoying it. Much on the vein of that is another game that's Atari inspired, which is Frogger. Now this is the Greatest Hits version, another single disc game. The black label one I think is a little bit more than 10, but the Greatest Hits one is under. And specifically, this is just for the multiplayer. The single player, now I recommended this game back in that list, Forgotten Games of the late 90s as well, but when I captured the footage, I remember it just not being very fun. It's because I was playing the single player. It's not very good single player, but the multiplayer is great. It sets you and another person, and each stage has you traversing upwards trying to get flags. Once someone gets 3 flags, they win. And the matches last until someone wins. So we played 2 stages. We played the classic freeway one, which I remember so well, a lot of fun. And then we did this one with logs coming and hippos going the other way, but the hippos would go under the water. And we played that for a good 16 minutes before we finally got our bearings and I was able to win. Just a blast, great game for 2-player co-op. This Frogger, Pong, the Jedi Power Battles, excellent 2-player games. Highly recommended, especially if you're looking for something that's cheap on the PS1. Going on, we have 2 more games. Now, I know you guys love Call of Duty. Everyone does. You love your first-person shooters. So I have a very special connection to the Medal of Honor series, both the first one and Medal of Honor Underground. Once again, single disc games, still dirt cheap. These were the games I remember before Call of Duty, and I loved Medal of Honor. This was a game series that came out after GoldenEye for the PS1. I remember reading an article in Game Informer about the first Medal of Honor, and I stuck my claim like this is going to be the next big game. And it was. It's hard to remember now that Medal of Honor was huge, but literally I bought the PC version, I think it was Axis and Allies, the third game. I hated PC gaming. My PC could not run it, but that's how much I love the Medal of Honor series. I never even heard of Call of Duty until Modern Warfare 4, and that was on the Xbox 360. But Medal of Honor, a lot of fun, even to this day. If you plug it in with the dual analog joystick, I don't like it that way. I turn the joysticks off because it makes the controls really strange. But just playing it like normal when I did it the other day, still fun. It's a little slow, definitely a little slow. More like that Time Splitters sort of gameplay, but still the reactive enemies. They make cool things like when they go after the grenades, they'll kick them, jump on them. They have the reactions when you shoot them in the arm, shoot them in the leg. Just the same kind of stuff that made GoldenEye fun to go through, Medal of Honor has. The second one definitely bumps up the graphics a little bit, and I think it added a multiplayer, but really it was the campaign, unlocking the secrets, getting all the cheat codes. All that was good, as my dogs continue to go crazy. Moving on here to the last one. So this is the only recommendation. It is not a game I actively played or actively owned as a kid, although I was aware of the series. I just never picked it up. It always reminded me a little bit of the Mission Impossible series on the N64. Not series, but the game on the N64. And that's Syphon Filter, and this is Syphon Filter 2. 2-disc game, comes in a big case. Dirt cheap. They're cheap. I found that at a thrift store, I want to say for $3. And I've always heard good things about the Syphon Filter series. I played it for probably 15 minutes, got around, enjoyed it. It was fun. It was definitely a little of that Tenchu behind the back with a little bit more, kind of win-back third-person shooting. The gun control was great. There's a auto target that directs your bullets. So I could see a good time coming. Definitely worth picking up because it's so damn cheap. So there you go, guys. There are some recommendations for games that are under $10 for the PS1 or around $10 if you want to complete, because let's face it, if you're collecting PS1, you want to complete. Let me know if you guys have any other recommendations for cheap PS1 games that are good. And as always, it's great getting a hold of you guys. Take care.